Ryan was, his last couple of years was our armory officer, and he just did amazing things there and organizing that, because it has to be, and really cleaning it up. And, he was just a great kid. I mean, just one of those kids I really counted on. So,
what year was it that
he graduated in 2014, so he was there basically from 2010 to 14. But I think the 2010, 2011 was his freshman year. I taught freshmen and I taught the seniors. So, and the time period in between doesn't matter. That doesn't go away. The program set up. I was asked yesterday why do you feel so close to this student, and I was like, I feel close to all of them, because especially the ones that go through the 4 years, because like a math teacher will get a student for maybe a year, and then they go on to a higher level math, higher level social studies, higher level science. We have these kids all 4 years, and then when you throw in all of the extracurricular activities that we do, they're there all the time. I mean, I was talking to one of my former partners, instructors, this morning, and just talking about, we had to tell the kids to go home, because we had our own gym, our gymnasium. So it was like, I called it the world's biggest treehouse, and because the kids just hung out in there all the time playing basketball, but also the drill team, the rifle team. It was just a base for all our extracurricular stuff. And then in the back we have the obstacle course, a volleyball sand pit. It was just a great environment, and Ryan was a big part of that.
Obviously Ryan's military career continued even after he left.
Oh yeah,
Part of you. Did that surprise you?
No, I mean, he had talked to me about it, and I just told him, follow your dreams, do whatever you want to do, man. And so he went right into the Army out of high school, and had the helicopter contract. So he was a mechanic first, and then became a crew chief on the Blackhawks.
So you kept up with his career?
Well, I had roughly 1,000 students I taught in the 15 years that I was there, and but not through him. His ex-wife would post a lot of pictures of them together and where they were and what they were doing, and even after they were divorced, I think they stayed relatively close, and I would see things pop up with his face on it. And they just, I talked to him the last time I talked to him was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He'd popped by the school right before I was retiring, and we had a conversation. It was just normal, everyday conversation about what he was doing, how he's loving what he was doing, and that's it.
When you saw his name pop up after this tragedy that happened near Washington, D.C.
Well, I got a text message first thing when I woke up yesterday morning from the Booster Club verifying, was this a student? And and I had 2 Ryan O'Haras at the same time in that school. So first of all, I didn't know which one it was, but once I figured it out, I just kind of immediately reached out to the parents, and sat and stared at a blank TV screen all yesterday morning, and then I started getting the calls from the media, and then which was good. It kind of shifted my focus away from my heartache, to be honest with you. I didn't sleep real well last night, just thinking about it and just thinking about what could have gone wrong, things like that. So
It's a lot to process.
yeah. What other questions do you guys have?
I know you mentioned, that you've had some reactions to a lot of the things that you've seen on TV, press conferences that you wanted to give your thoughts on. You're processing the loss of someone you knew, but there's also a lot of politics that comes along with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, some people have decided to make this political or about DEI, and we don't know anything will cause this. And for unfortunately, the commander-in-chief to stand up in front of a group of reporters and say he knows what happened, or he's got a good. I'm using common sense. We need better than that. And those parents, and not just the parents of Ryan, every person on that aircraft had somebody they loved, or somebody that loved them, and they need better than that. And we're a better country than this. And we, it pisses me off. It infuriates me, and I'm really kind of keeping it down right now as I describe this. But I just don't understand how you can stoop so low and do this. These parents are looking for answers right now, and they're not getting them. They're getting a bunch of about DEI, and I don't even know how to process it, to be honest with you. It's just, when you think about tragedies in the past, and you see how every other president has handled it, whether they were Republican or Democrat, it was with grace and just empathy, and we don't have that right now, and I'm infuriated by it.
I interviewed an air traffic controller yesterday who said the one thing that people need to do right now is to let the investigation happen and let families grieve. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, we could sit here and talk about things that have been done in the last week, but I don't think that's helpful. I think that the helpful thing is to let the professionals do their investigation, come up with the answers, and then change the processes that need to be changed to avoid this from happening again. That's basic military investigation stuff right there. You stop what you're doing and investigate, and then report. Investigators reported it up the chain of command, and then actions are taken. There's after action reports, but that's not happening right now. We're blaming whatever DEI is. To me, it's just the new racist term is best way to put it, in my opinion. So,
you're a Marine. Ryan was in the Army. As best as you can, just kind of talk about, when you're in the military, what that means for you. He was doing his job. He was doing something that he loved when he was in that helicopter. Just kind of walk someone through that who might not know what that feels like to be serving your country, to do a job like that.
I was on an aircraft really briefly, and it didn't have the teeth of a Black Hawk. It was a C-12, but you always want to get on that plane. You always want to get on that bird. And I remember talking to one of my former COs who was in for 30 years, and I asked him, I said, did it ever get old climbing into a cockpit of an aircraft? Now, Ryan was an air crew member. He wasn't a pilot. But the captain was like, no, I felt like a 16-year-old kid every time I climbed in a cockpit, every time, and it was, you got to have a certain sense of adventure. Ryan couldn't fly because of an eye stigmatization, so he went the aircrew route and enlisted. And those guys have as much fun back there as the pilots do. He's in charge of the balance and the loading of the aircraft and everything. All the systems while they're flying, to troubleshoot anything that might go wrong. He's there to do all that in the back of the aircraft, and he's loved it. Is the feedback I got from him, several years ago, and I can attest to that. I was more on the ground. I was and I dealt with more fixed wing aircraft than the rotor wing. But if somebody's in the military for 20 years, there's a good chance they like what they're doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there, because it's not an easy life. It just isn't. It's hard on families. It's hard on the individuals that do it. If you're in there for 20 years, you're going to come out with some aches and pains and things like that most professions just don't have. Ryan was doing what he loved. He planned on making a career out of it. So,
my final question is, for those who didn't know Ryan, what would you like for them to remember about him?
Let me think about that one for a second. His dependability, his smile. He was a quiet kid, but came out of his shell in ROTC as I said yesterday, his mother had passed that on to me, that, you know, you guys were the ones that brought him out of his shell. And you could see it just by the things that he would do. But he was a great kid. I mean, I honestly have one of the best stories I ever tell about things kids did, you know, just using initiative, but maybe a little bit of bad judgment. And Ryan, as I was talking to the principal yesterday, we both started laughing because of this. He remembered the story, and of him doing some rewiring in the locker room, and you know, it was just like he got talked to a little bit about it, but he'd never know this. But I turned and walked away from that laughing, literally, physically laughing. I went into my office and just started laughing, and it was not a big deal. You know, we fixed the problem. Could have been catastrophic, but that's, you know, that's my memory of him, is just taking initiative to do things, and just sometimes overstepping. But he took that initiative. But those funny stories overshadow the small things, initiative things that he did that helped other kids. And I guess that's maybe one way of looking at that. He would, you know, I would just see things cleaned up, and it would be him that did it, you know. I spent a lot of my days teaching kids to don't walk over a piece of paper. I never had to teach him that.